Hey guys, Saki here from Saki Tech, and in today's video I'm going to show you 10 hidden features on your Samsung Galaxy Note 9 that is going to enhance the use of your smartphone. So let's dive in and get started right away. Now the very first thing I want to talk about is called the Direction Lock. So your smartphone comes with a bunch of security features, but Direction Lock is actually hidden under a setting that is not immediately visible. So let's go to the settings. I want to show you exactly where it's at. Go to Accessibility and then go over to Direction Lock right inside and click on Enable right over here. So let me show you exactly what this thing does. So let's enable this. As soon as you enable it, it's going to ask you to confirm your current PIN number. Let me put mine in here and click Next. It goes right over. So basically you're able to unlock your phone with a series of directions. They want you to pick a series of 6 or 8 directions. And of course, to keep it simple, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go left, right, left, right, left, right. And I'm going to keep it at 6, but you can do 8. Now, when you click Continue, it's going to ask you to confirm that direction. So again, as you can see, and there we go, then click Confirm. And then now the Direction Lock is in fact enabled. If I go into the lock screen, and if I go into the phone, it's going to ask me to draw the directions. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom, we're right in. So that's the first feature I wanted to talk about. And of course, if you forget the directions, if you end up forgetting what you actually drew, just remember that you can bypass directions and just use your regular PIN to log into your phone. Because it is in fact a possibility that you will in fact forget the directions, but you do have that backup PIN number. Alright, so the next thing I want to talk about has to do with camera, the next 2 tips. So the first thing, let's go to the camera. Let's go into the actual settings. Before I go to the settings, I'm just going to show you, if you want to take a picture with your camera, obviously you click this button here, and that takes a snapshot of whatever you're looking at. So that's very easy, very convenient. But sometimes you hold the phone a certain way, and it's hard to reach that button depending on how you're actually holding your phone. It has happened to me, has happened to a couple people I knew. So Samsung does have a nice little option that gives you a button that you can put anywhere on the screen. Okay, so let's go to the settings and let's scroll down just a little bit, actually all the way down. And here's something called the floating camera button. You click this, you go back into the camera, and now you have a second shutter button. This one stays right here. You can keep using this to take a photo. But this one here can be placed anywhere on the screen. And now you have a convenient button and you can place it anywhere to use any finger to take a photo. So boom, it just did the same thing this button over here does. So just a secondary button on the screen to take some shots. Now the other thing I want to talk about is also in the camera. Now this is something people have been asking me about. So if you go to the camera, if you scroll over, you've got the super slow motion option, which is a fantastic option. But if you scroll over more, there's also a regular slow motion option. Now this super slow motion limits how long you can record a video. Okay, but if you go to actual slow motion, the regular slow motion, you can do slow motion videos the way you used to do it as long as you want. Now this by default is actually hidden. So you have to go to the settings. You have to, actually let me go to the regular just to have all the options available. By the way, if you're in a given mode and you tap on settings, it goes into the settings for that option. But let's go to the auto, and that's going to go into the settings for everything. So there we go. So what you want to do is you want to scroll down and you want to go to the edit camera modes. Tap on this guy, tap on rear camera, and make sure the regular slow motion right here is enabled. If you disable any one of these guys, they actually disappear from the camera options. So if I go back to the camera, now I got the auto, live focus, I got the professional mode, the panorama, but I don't have anything else. Again, if you scroll down here and you edit the camera modes, you can enable any one of these options or disable them. For example, I don't use panorama that often. I don't use live focus that often, but I do use these 3. So now I have a really nice interface, simple and exactly the way I like it. All right, let's move on to the next tactic. Now the next feature has to do with the edge panels right over here. Let me increase the brightness. The edge panels right here. So what I like to do is I like to download an edge panel that gives me an amazing little option, and that's called the soft key edge function. So this gives you a bunch of buttons here. For example, it replicates all the buttons that are at the bottom. So you have the recents button right here. You can do the same thing here, recent. Okay, you've got the home button, takes you home. You've got the back button, takes you back. And of course, you've got the lock button that actually locks the screen. If I tap this, boom, instead of pressing the power button, it just locks the actual phone. All right, let me unlock this with direction lock. There we go. And finally, you've got this button here that says screen capture. It allows you to take a screenshot really quickly. So that's one way to take a screenshot. Now, you're not going to find it by default. So what you want to do is you want to bring up the edge screen, go to the settings, and it's going to be this thing right here. But if you don't have it, which is very normal because you do have to download it, tap on this guy, go to download. It's going to take you to the Edge Panel store, and then search for the soft key panel. Soft key edge. You download that, you install that, and that's going to show up right here in the S Pen functions, which is right here, and you just simply add it. It's going to be disabled. Just enable it, and boom, you've got the soft key edge panel, which gives you these fantastic little features. Now the next thing also has to do with the S Pen. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. If you go over here, let's just go to the Google again. The Chrome browser. And anytime you have a field into which you have to write something, normally what we do is we tap on that and we start, the keyboard comes up, we start writing. Now you do have one more option because you've got the S Pen. You can actually perform handwriting. So what I can do is I can hover the pen over the area into which I can write. Then a blue button is going to pop up just like that. You tap on that button, and instead of the actual keyboard, it gives you a writing pad. So let me delete all this, and what I can do is I can basically start writing here using handwriting, and it's going to actually convert everything as you can see. So that's absolutely fantastic. Okay, so I can type in GOO, even nasty handwriting like this gets converted flawlessly. Okay, so www.google.even.com can be added. So that is the S Pen feature that is very useful. Now, it might be disabled by default. Here's how you enable it. You go to settings, you go to advanced features, should be somewhere here. Advanced features, you go to S Pen, and you have to make sure that direct pen input is in fact enabled. Okay, so this option has to be enabled for this to work. Now I do want to let you know that if you're even in the messages application, you can hover the pen over the actual messages field, tap it. You can start to handwrite messages. So you can say, hi, how are you? It's just going to convert everything. You can use commas, okay, it's no problem. You can use dashes, no problem. Everything is going to work in this handwriting tool. Fantastic. Let's move on to the next tactic. Now the next tactic has to do with the S Pen. It's in the Air Command menu. It's a fantastic feature that a lot of people simply do not know about. So let me just bring up the Air Command menu. And the name of this feature is called Glance. Now I want to let you know, when you bring up the Air Command menu, if you don't see Glance, just tap on this settings icon and then go over to Air Command right here and go into shortcuts and make sure that you add Glance. So if it's not enabled, for example, it's going to be sitting right here under S Pen features. And if you tap on it, it's going to go into the actual Air Command menu, which is fully customizable. Anyway, let's go back to the Glance feature. So let me show you what the Glance feature does. Let me launch Google Chrome. Let me go into any website. As a matter of fact, let's just keep this website right here. So with Glance, what you can do is you bring up the application that you want to glance at first and foremost. Then you bring up the Air Command menu, and then what you do is you tap on Glance. When you tap on Glance like this, that application that I was looking at actually goes to the corner at the bottom and just hides there. So what I can do is, if I'm doing some kind of research or if I'm looking at something else, I can keep this at the bottom and I can keep glancing at it. So let's say I was researching or writing an article about this motorcycle here, the Honda CBR. What I can do is I can keep writing the article and also just glance at this article to get the information out from this website. When I pull the S Pen away, that thing goes down. When I hover the S Pen over this, it comes down. When I'm done glancing at anything, I can grab this and I can just remove it and it's gone. Okay, I can glance at other stuff as well. It doesn't have to be Chrome. You can glance at messages, WhatsApp, other internet browsers, and basically just try it, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't work, not a big deal. But Glance does work on many other apps. So that is the Glance feature in the Air Command Mini. Let's move on to the next tactic. Alright, so let's move on to the next application. Now in this application, when somebody calls you, you get two buttons on the screen. One of them says answer, other one says decline. To take the call, you have to swipe to answer or swipe to decline. I don't like to swipe, I like to tap. So you do have the option to convert the swipe into a tap. What you want to do is you want to go to the settings, again go into the accessibility, scroll down and enable single tap mode. So this is going to work with any alert. So if you get an alarm, if you get any kind of alert or any incoming calls, you can use the single tap mode. So instead of swiping to answer a call or swiping to decline, you just tap on answer, takes the call. Tap on decline, declines the call. All right, fantastic. Let's move on. Now this next tactic is pretty advanced. So let me go into the settings. Again, go into accessibility. And then what I want you guys to do is go into dexterity and interaction and then go into the assistant menu. So with the assistant menu, basically enable this and boom, you've got a little menu, let's turn on, floating on the screen. I can tap this guy and it gives me a bunch of functions. So this is going to be anywhere on the screen, okay? So you can put it anywhere you want. You tap on it. Again, you've got access to recent app button, which is the button right here. You've got access to the home button. You've got access to the back button. And you can even pull down the notifications panel by tapping this button right here, okay? Which is great. If I tap it again, it goes away. And of course, you can actually go to the next page and access even more settings, okay? Take a screenshot, boom. Get rid of that, go back here, number 2. You can go to the phone options from here, turn off the screen, restart, or emergency. So that's the power button, which becomes a soft key button. Instead of pressing it right over here, you can go here, tap on phone options, and you got these options, okay? So that is the assistant menu options. You can even control the volume from here, as you can see, fantastic. Minus, plus, whatever you need. And of course, if you go back into the actual settings of the assistant menu, you can modify them. So you got the assistant menu options. You can add or remove functionality such as brightness. If I want to add brightness, boom, it's right there. If I go back out, now I'm going to have a third page that has the brightness option. I can decrease or increase brightness or choose auto brightness. So that's the assistant menu. If you don't want it, you just turn it off, okay? And you can also change the opacity so it's less visible, less intrusive, or you can make it really nice and bold. You got all these other options. I want you guys to come and take a look at it. No need to go into all the details. All right, so that brings us to the end of this